Young mother and her 6-month-old baby vanished from Everglades swamp campsite in 2015, baby carrier still rocking empty. But both Jessica and little Lily were gone without any trace. But 9 years later, in 2024, what a wildlife researcher found embedded in a living alligator's tooth changed everything investigators thought they knew about this case. Jessica Martinez had never felt so alone in her life. At 24 years old, she was struggling with postpartum depression that seemed to grow darker every day since her daughter Lily's birth 6 months earlier. The sleepless nights, the constant crying, the overwhelming responsibility of caring for such a tiny, helpless human being. It was all crushing her spirit in ways she'd never imagined possible. Her husband Robert worked long hours as a construction foreman, leaving Jessica alone with the baby for 12 to 14 hours each day. Friends and family offered advice, but nobody seemed to understand the suffocating weight of depression that made even simple tasks feel impossible. "I just need to get away," Jessica confided to her sister Maria during a particularly difficult phone call in November 2015. "Somewhere quiet, where I can think clearly and maybe remember who I used to be." Maria suggested a weekend camping trip, something Jessica had loved before Lily was born. "The Everglades might be perfect," Maria said. "It's peaceful, and you can camp right by the water. Maybe being in nature will help you feel more like yourself again." Jessica was initially hesitant. Taking a 6-month-old baby camping in the Florida Everglades seemed overwhelming, maybe even dangerous. But her doctor had suggested that spending time outdoors and away from daily stressors might help with her depression, and Robert supported the idea, hoping that some solo time with Lily might strengthen their mother-daughter bond. "Just be careful," Robert said as he helped Jessica pack their camping gear. "The Everglades can be unpredictable. Stay at designated campsites, keep your food stored properly, and call me every few hours." Jessica chose a remote but established campsite along the Turner River, accessible by canoe and surrounded by the vast wetlands that made the Everglades unique. The location offered privacy for her emotional healing while remaining connected to park ranger patrols for safety. They arrived on a Saturday morning in late November, when the weather was mild and the mosquito population was manageable. Jessica set up her small tent on a raised platform designed to keep campers dry during high water periods. She arranged Lily's portable crib inside the tent and positioned the baby carrier on a stable camp table where she could easily access her daughter. The first day went better than Jessica had dared to hope. Lily seemed fascinated by the new environment, the sounds of birds and moving water, the play of sunlight through Spanish moss, the gentle breeze that kept the air comfortable. For the first time in months, Jessica felt moments of actual peace. "Look at the pretty birds, baby girl," Jessica whispered to Lily as they watched a great blue heron fishing in the nearby channel. "Aren't they beautiful?" Lily gurgled and reached toward the movement, her eyes bright with curiosity. Jessica felt a flutter of the maternal joy she'd thought depression had stolen from her permanently. That evening, Jessica built a small campfire and prepared dinner while Lily napped in her carrier. The baby had been unusually calm all day, as if the natural environment was soothing her as much as it was helping Jessica. For the first time since becoming a mother, Jessica felt like she might actually be capable of handling this enormous responsibility. She called Robert around sunset to report that everything was going well. "Lily loves it out here," Jessica told him, watching her daughter sleep peacefully in the carrier, "and I feel more relaxed than I have in months. This was exactly what we needed." "I'm so glad," Robert said, relief evident in his voice. "Take all the time you need. We'll be fine for another day or two if you want to extend the trip." Jessica went to bed that night feeling hopeful for the first time since Lily's birth. The sounds of the swamp, frogs calling, water moving gently through channels, the occasional splash of a fish jumping, created a natural lullaby that helped both mother and baby sleep more deeply than they had in weeks. Sunday morning dawned clear and warm. Jessica woke feeling refreshed and actually eager to spend the day exploring with Lily. She prepared breakfast while her daughter slept, then fed and changed the baby before settling her in the carrier for a morning of gentle adventure. They canoed slowly along the Turner River, with Jessica pointing out wildlife and talking to Lily about the incredible ecosystem surrounding them. Lily seemed to enjoy the boat ride, staying alert and calm despite the new experience. "This is what I needed," Jessica said aloud, as much to herself as to her daughter. "Time to remember that I can be a good mother, that we can be happy together." They returned to camp around noon, and Jessica prepared lunch while Lily had her bottle. The baby was getting sleepy again, and Jessica decided this would be perfect timing for their afternoon naps, something that had become routine during their short trip. Jessica settled Lily in her carrier, positioned in the shade where a gentle breeze would keep her comfortable. The baby fell asleep almost immediately, her tiny fist curled near her cheek in the peaceful way that always made Jessica's heart melt with love. Jessica retreated to her tent for her own nap, feeling more content than she had since before Lily's birth. The sounds of the swamp created a soothing soundtrack, and for the first time in months, Jessica fell into deep, restful sleep without anxiety or worry. She woke around 4 p.m., refreshed and ready to enjoy the rest of their day. But when she emerged from her tent, her world shattered in an instant. Lily's carrier was empty. The baby carrier sat exactly where Jessica had left it, still gently rocking in the afternoon breeze, as if Lily had just been lifted from it moments before. But there was no sign of the baby anywhere. "Lily!" Jessica screamed, running to the carrier and frantically checking inside as if her 6-month-old daughter might somehow be hiding in the fabric. "Lily!" Jessica's maternal instincts took over completely. She searched every inch of their campsite, looking under the tent, behind supply boxes, anywhere a baby might have crawled or been placed. But Lily was barely 6 months old. She couldn't crawl yet, certainly couldn't climb out of her carrier independently. The search expanded to the immediate area around their campsite. Jessica called Lily's name until her voice was hoarse, checking the water's edge, examining every bush and tree where someone might have placed a baby. But there were no footprints in the soft earth around their camp, no signs that anyone else had been there. Jessica's hands shook as she called 911 on her satellite phone. "My baby is missing," she sobbed to the dispatcher. "She was sleeping in her carrier, and now she's gone. I don't know how. There's no one else here." The emergency response was swift. Park rangers arrived within an hour, followed by sheriff's deputies and search and rescue teams. By evening, dozens of people were combing the Everglades wetlands for any sign of 6-month-old Lily Martinez. Detective Sarah Williams led the investigation. A mother herself, she understood the urgency of finding a missing infant in an environment as dangerous as the Everglades. But the circumstances of Lily's disappearance defied explanation. A 6-month-old baby doesn't just disappear from a carrier, Detective Williams told her team. "Someone took her, or she fell out somehow. But we need to find her quickly. The Everglades are no place for an infant to survive alone." The search effort was massive and immediate. Helicopters with thermal imaging equipment flew grid patterns over thousands of acres of wetlands. Airboat teams explored every accessible waterway. Trained search dogs tracked scents throughout the area, but they found no trace of Lily Martinez. The baby carrier was examined exhaustively. There were no signs of damage, no indication that the safety straps had been unfastened or broken. Lily's blanket was still in the carrier, along with her favorite small toy. Everything suggested she had simply vanished from a secured seat. Jessica was questioned extensively, both as a potential witness and as a possible suspect. Detective Williams had to consider every possibility, including that postpartum depression might have led Jessica to harm her own child. But Jessica's grief was clearly genuine, and there was no evidence she had done anything to hurt Lily. "She was everything to me," Jessica sobbed during one of many interviews. "I brought her here to help with my depression, not to hurt her." I was finally starting to feel like a good mother. Why would I do anything to harm my baby? Robert arrived from Miami as soon as he received the emergency call. His anguish was obvious and real. Jessica would never hurt Lily, he told investigators. She's been struggling with depression, but she loves that baby more than anything in the world. The search continued for 2 weeks, with volunteers from across Florida joining the effort. The story of baby Lily's disappearance captured national attention, with media outlets covering the mysterious vanishing and the ongoing search efforts. But as days passed without any trace of the infant, hope began to fade. The Everglades were home to alligators, venomous snakes, and other predators that could easily harm a helpless baby. Even if Lily had somehow survived an initial incident, she couldn't survive long in the harsh swamp environment. Theories emerged and were investigated thoroughly. Maybe someone had approached the campsite while Jessica slept and abducted Lily, but there were no footprints, no tire tracks, no evidence that anyone else had been in the area. Maybe Lily had somehow gotten out of her carrier and crawled toward the water. But the carrier's safety straps were still fastened, and the baby wasn't developmentally capable of the motor skills required to escape independently. Maybe a large bird of prey had somehow lifted the baby from her carrier, but there were no birds in the Everglades large enough to carry a 6-month-old infant, and such an attack would have left evidence. The investigation expanded to include Jessica's personal life, looking for anyone who might have followed her to the Everglades with intent to harm her or take her baby. But Jessica had told very few people about her camping plans, and those she had told were family members with solid alibis. As weeks turned into months, the case that had gripped the nation began to fade from headlines. Jessica and Robert's marriage crumbled under the weight of grief and unanswered questions. Jessica's depression deepened catastrophically, requiring intensive therapy and medication. "I failed her," Jessica would tell her therapist repeatedly. "I was supposed to protect her, and I let her disappear while I was sleeping. What kind of mother does that make me?" The official search was scaled back after 6 months, though park rangers continued to watch for any signs of baby Lily during their regular patrols. Missing person flyers with Lily's photo were posted throughout South Florida, and her case remained open with the sheriff's department. But as years passed, even the most dedicated investigators began to accept that 6-month-old Lily Martinez had become another tragic unsolved disappearance in the vast and dangerous Everglades. Jessica never fully recovered from the loss. She and Robert divorced 2 years after Lily's disappearance, both unable to move past the tragedy that had destroyed their family. Jessica moved back in with her parents and underwent years of therapy, but the guilt and grief never entirely left her. The baby carrier was preserved as evidence, a heartbreaking reminder of an ordinary afternoon that had ended in impossible loss. Then, 9 years later, wildlife researcher Dr. Marcus Thompson made a discovery that changed everything. Dr. Thompson was conducting a routine study of alligator populations in the Turner River area, the same region where Jessica and Lily had camped. His research involved safely capturing alligators, taking measurements and samples, then releasing them back into their habitat. On a warm day in March 2024, Dr. Thompson's team captured a large female alligator for examination. As they were documenting her physical condition, something caught Dr. Thompson's attention that made his blood run cold. Embedded in one of the alligator's teeth was a small, bright object that clearly wasn't natural. Upon closer examination, it appeared to be a piece of plastic with a colorful design, specifically a baby's pacifier. But this wasn't just any pacifier. It was embedded so deeply in the alligator's tooth that it appeared to have grown there over time, becoming part of the tooth structure in a way that defied biological explanation. Dr. Thompson carefully documented the impossible discovery, before extracting the pacifier using precision instruments. What he found sent shockwaves through the scientific community and reopened one of Florida's most heartbreaking cold cases. The pacifier was in perfect condition despite being embedded in living tooth material for years. It showed no signs of degradation, no damage from digestive acids or environmental exposure. Most impossibly, it appeared to have become biologically integrated with the alligator's tooth structure. Forensic analysis confirmed that the pacifier belonged to Lily Martinez. The design matched photos from the original missing person case, and DNA analysis detected traces of the baby's saliva still preserved on the plastic. But how had a 6-month-old's pacifier become embedded in an alligator's tooth? And how had it remained perfectly preserved while becoming part of a living creature's biological structure? Dr. Patricia Kim, the quantum physicist who had worked on other dimensional cases, was called in to examine the impossible evidence. Her analysis revealed something that challenged every known law of biology and physics. The pacifier shows signs of dimensional phase shifting, Dr. Kim explained to the reopened investigation team. It exists simultaneously in our reality and in some alternate biological timeline where it became integrated with living tissue through impossible biological processes. But the discovery of the pacifier wasn't the end of the mystery. It was the beginning of something even stranger. 2 weeks after finding the embedded pacifier, Dr. Thompson's team made another impossible discovery. While examining water samples from the Turner River, they found microscopic traces of baby formula that showed no signs of degradation despite being in the water for 9 years. The formula particles were somehow suspended in the water in a way that defied dissolution and decay. They appeared to be preserved in temporal bubbles, existing in multiple time states simultaneously. Dr. Kim's analysis revealed that the entire Turner River area was experiencing what she termed temporal biological fusion, a phenomenon where objects and living creatures from different time periods were becoming integrated through impossible biological processes. What we're seeing suggests that Jessica and Lily didn't disappear in the conventional sense, Dr. Kim explained to Jessica, who had flown to Florida immediately upon hearing about the discoveries. They may have become integrated with the Everglades ecosystem itself, existing in a biological timeline that operates according to different physical laws. The investigation team faced an unprecedented situation. If Dr. Kim's theories were correct, Jessica and Lily weren't missing. They had become part of the swamp's living ecosystem, existing in a state that transcended normal biological boundaries. But the most remarkable discovery came from an unexpected source: the alligator that had carried Lily's pacifier. Dr. Thompson continued monitoring the creature after the pacifier extraction, and what he observed defied every principle of animal behavior he knew. The alligator began displaying protective behaviors typically associated with maternal care, building elaborate nests in areas where no eggs were present, calling out in vocalizations that sounded remarkably similar to human infant cries. It's as if the alligator is caring for offspring that exist in a different biological dimension, Dr. Thompson explained to the investigation team. The protective behaviors are clearly directed toward something, but we can't see what she's protecting. Local Seminole tribal elders were consulted about the Everglades' spiritual significance. Elder Maria Osceola agreed to share traditional knowledge about the swamp's sacred properties. Our ancestors knew the Everglades were more than just wetlands, she explained. This is a place where the boundary between the living world and the spirit world is thin. Sometimes people who enter the swamp with pure hearts become part of its eternal protection. watching over all the creatures who call it home. "Are Jessica and Lily alive?" Detective Williams asked. Elder Osceola looked thoughtful. "Life takes many forms in the sacred swamp. They may not be alive in the way you understand, but their spirits have joined with the land and water to become guardians of all mothers and children who need protection." The investigation evolved into something more like a scientific expedition than a missing persons case. Dr. Kim established monitoring equipment throughout the Turner River area, detecting regular biological anomalies that suggested ongoing temporal biological fusion events. But the most convincing evidence came from other families who had visited the Everglades. Parents camping in the Turner River area began reporting unusual experiences. Crying babies soothed by invisible presences. Lost children found safely sleeping in impossible locations. Dangerous wildlife seeming to actively protect families rather than threaten them. Maria Santos, a single mother who had gotten lost in the Everglades with her 2-year-old son, described an encounter that changed her understanding of the swamp forever. "We were lost for hours, and my son was crying from hunger and fear," Maria reported. "Then suddenly he became quiet and calm, like someone was comforting him. I felt this overwhelming sense of protection, like a mother's love surrounding us. Within minutes, park rangers found us even though we were miles from any trail." Similar reports multiplied over the months following the Pacifier discovery. The Everglades seemed to have become a sanctuary for families, with invisible guardians protecting children and guiding lost parents to safety. Dr. Thompson documented dozens of cases where dangerous wildlife exhibited protective behaviors toward visiting families. Alligators that should have been territorial became docile around children. Venomous snakes seemed to actively avoid areas where families were camping. The ecosystem is behaving as if it's being guided by maternal instincts, Dr. Thompson concluded in his research reports. Jessica and Lily's love has somehow become integrated with the biological systems of the Everglades, creating a protective environment for other families. The Turner River campsite where Jessica and Lily had vanished was designated as a memorial research area. The baby carrier was returned to the site and preserved under protective covering, serving as a monument to a mother's love that had transcended physical existence. Jessica visited the memorial site regularly, finding peace in the knowledge that her daughter's spirit was protecting other children. "I used to think I failed Lily by falling asleep," she told a documentary filmmaker. "Now I understand that our love became something bigger than just our family. Lily is still taking care of babies, and I'm still her mother, even if we exist in different forms now." The pacifier that had been embedded in the alligator's tooth was returned to Jessica, but she chose to leave it at the memorial site. "It belongs here," she explained, "where Lily can use it to comfort other babies who need soothing." Strange phenomena continued to be reported at the Turner River area. Visitors described hearing lullabies sung by invisible voices, seeing rocking motions in empty baby carriers, and feeling overwhelming sensations of maternal love during difficult moments with their own children. Dr. Kim's research revealed that the temporal biological fusion was expanding slowly throughout the Everglades. Other areas of the vast wetlands were beginning to show similar protective properties, as if Jessica and Lily's guardianship was growing to encompass the entire ecosystem. What began as a personal tragedy has evolved into something that serves the greater good, Dr. Kim explained. Jessica and Lily's bond was so strong that it transformed them into eternal protectors of families who venture into the wilderness. The case that had begun as a heartbreaking disappearance became a source of comfort for parents worldwide. The Turner River Memorial Site became a pilgrimage destination for families dealing with loss, offering proof that love between parents and children can transcend any boundary. Robert, Jessica's ex-husband, also found peace in the discoveries. He remarried and had other children, but he brought his new family to visit the memorial site regularly. "Lily is still part of our family," he explained to his other children. "She just has a very important job now, taking care of kids who get scared in the swamp." Today, 9 years after their disappearance, Jessica and Lily Martinez continue their work as guardians of the Everglades, the impossible biological fusion that transformed them into protectors of lost families has made the dangerous swampland one of the safest places in America for children. Park rangers report a dramatic decrease in family-related emergencies in the Everglades since the memorial site was established. Lost children are found quickly, dangerous wildlife avoids families, and parents report feeling unprecedented peace and confidence while camping with their children. The baby carrier still rocks gently in the Turner River breeze, no longer empty but filled with the invisible presence of a love that proved stronger than disappearance, stronger than death, and strong enough to transform an entire ecosystem into a sanctuary for families. Jessica's postpartum depression, which had driven her to seek healing in the Everglades, became the catalyst for the most profound transformation of maternal love ever documented. She went to the swamp as a struggling mother seeking peace and became an eternal guardian, ensuring that no other family would face the dangers of the wilderness alone. And somewhere in the vast biological networks of the Everglades, where alligators carry pacifiers in their teeth and water preserves baby formula in temporal bubbles, a mother and daughter continue their bond, not as missing persons, but as the swamp's most devoted protectors of innocent life. But the transformation of Jessica and Lily into Everglades guardians was about to reveal an even more profound purpose. 3 months after the memorial site was established, families from around the world began arriving at the Turner River location, drawn by reports of the swamp's protective properties. What they discovered challenged everything scientists thought they understood about the boundaries between life and death. Dr. Sarah Chen, a pediatric psychologist specializing in childhood trauma, brought her most difficult cases to the Everglades as an experimental therapy approach. Children who had witnessed violence, lost parents, or survived abuse found unprecedented healing in the swamp environment. "There's something happening here that goes beyond normal therapy," Dr. Chen reported to the medical community. "Children who haven't spoken in months begin talking within hours of arriving at the memorial site. Kids with severe PTSD experience complete symptom relief that lasts long after they return home." 8-year-old Marcus Williams had been mute since witnessing his father's death in a car accident. His mother brought him to the Turner River Memorial as a last resort before considering institutional care. Within 2 hours of arrival, Marcus was speaking normally, describing conversations with the nice lady and her baby, who had explained that daddies who die in accidents watch over their children from special places. "She told me Daddy isn't gone," Marcus explained to his astonished mother. "He just has a different job now, like she does. They help kids who get scared remember that their parents always love them." Dr. Kim expanded her research to include the psychological phenomena occurring at the memorial site. Her findings revealed that the temporal biological fusion had created what she termed emotional resonance fields, areas where Jessica and Lily's protective love could directly interact with the emotional needs of visiting children. "We're documenting measurable changes in brain chemistry among children who visit the site," Dr. Kim explained to a gathering of child psychologists and quantum physicists. The area seems to be broadcasting specific frequencies that activate neural pathways associated with comfort, security, and maternal bonding. But the most remarkable development came when other missing families began manifesting at the Turner River location. Jennifer Hayes had lost her 3-year-old daughter Emma to a rare genetic disease 2 years earlier. Grief-stricken and unable to cope, Jennifer came to the Everglades hoping to understand how other parents survived the loss of children. During her second night camping at the memorial site, Jennifer experienced something that changed her understanding of death itself. "I felt Emma's presence so clearly," Jennifer reported to Dr. Kim. "Not imagination or wishful thinking, but actual contact. She was playing with other children, including a baby who seemed to be teaching the older kids how to comfort sad parents." Jennifer's experience was documented by monitoring equipment Dr. Kim had positioned throughout the memorial area. The devices recorded electromagnetic anomalies consistent with conscious presence during Jennifer's reported contact with her deceased daughter. "The memorial site is becoming a convergence point," Dr. Kim theorized, "where families separated by death can maintain connections across dimensional boundaries. Jessica and Lily aren't just protecting living children, they're helping deceased children continue their relationships with grieving parents." The Turner River area began attracting families dealing with child loss from around the globe. Parents who had lost children to illness, accidents, or violence found unexpected comfort in the swamp's impossible environment. Dr. Thompson documented increasing biological anomalies throughout the Everglades. Plants grew in patterns that seemed designed to create comfortable spaces for families. Wildlife behavior became increasingly protective, with dangerous predators actively guiding lost children toward safety. "The entire ecosystem is evolving to serve families," Dr. Thompson concluded. "Jessica and Lily's maternal instincts have somehow been integrated with the swamp's biological systems, creating a living sanctuary dedicated to protecting parent-child bonds." Local authorities struggled with how to manage the increasing number of pilgrims arriving at the memorial site. The area became known internationally as the Mother's Sanctuary, attracting families seeking healing, protection, and connection with lost loved ones. But perhaps the most profound changes occurred in Jessica herself. 9 years after losing Lily, Jessica had never remarried or had other children. The guilt and grief had been too overwhelming. But as she spent more time at the memorial site, she began experiencing direct contact with her daughter. "Lily talks to me now," Jessica told Dr. Kim during one of their regular sessions. "Not audibly, but I can feel her thoughts, her love, her pride in the work we're doing together. She's grown up in ways I never expected, becoming wise and strong and infinitely loving." Jessica's role evolved from grieving mother to active collaborator in her daughter's guardianship mission. She began serving as a guide for other families, helping them understand and benefit from the swamp's protective properties. "Lily shows me which families need the most help," Jessica explained to a documentary crew filming at the memorial site. "Sometimes it's a single mother struggling with postpartum depression, like I was. Sometimes it's parents who've lost children and need to know their love continues. We work together to make sure no family faces their challenges alone." The memorial site became a formal research station, with scientists from multiple disciplines studying the impossible biological and psychological phenomena occurring there. But the most important discoveries came from the families themselves. Children who visited the Turner River Memorial demonstrated improved emotional resilience, that lasted long after their visits. Parents dealing with loss found renewed purpose and hope. Families facing separation due to illness or other circumstances discovered strength they hadn't known they possessed. Dr. Kim's team documented over 200 cases of families reporting direct contact with deceased children through the memorial site's unique properties. Each case was investigated thoroughly, with consistent evidence of genuine communication across dimensional boundaries. What Jessica and Lily have created transcends any known scientific framework, Dr. Kim admitted. They've established a bridge between life and death that allows families to maintain their bonds regardless of physical separation. The Everglades National Park Service designated the Turner River area as a permanent memorial and research preserve. The site became humanity's first officially recognized location for documented communication with deceased family members. Jessica established the Lily Martinez Foundation, dedicated to supporting families dealing with child loss and providing research funding for dimensional communication studies. The foundation's motto, inspired by Lily's ongoing presence, was, "Love never ends, it only changes form." 10 years after their disappearance, Jessica and Lily's influence had transformed not just the Everglades, but the entire field of grief counseling and family therapy. Hospitals worldwide began incorporating Everglades protocols, therapeutic approaches based on the memorial site's documented healing properties. But the most meaningful validation came from the families themselves. Every month, dozens of parents brought children to the Turner River Memorial Site. Some came seeking healing from trauma. Others wanted to maintain contact with deceased family members. Many simply came to experience the profound sense of protection and love that permeated the area. "This place saved our family," reported David Kim, who had brought his autistic son to the memorial after traditional therapies failed. Whatever Jessica and Lily have become, they understand children in ways that help parents connect with kids who struggle to express themselves. The baby carrier that had started this extraordinary journey still rocked gently in the Turner River breeze, but it was no longer a symbol of loss. It had become a beacon of hope, proving that maternal love could transcend any limitation and create sanctuaries of healing for families worldwide. Jessica visited the memorial daily, no longer as a grieving mother, but as a proud partner in her daughter's mission to protect and heal families. Their bond, strengthened rather than broken by impossible circumstances, had evolved into something that served the greater good while maintaining the intimacy that made their relationship special. "I used to think losing Lily was the worst thing that could happen to our family," Jessica reflected during a memorial service on the 10th anniversary of their disappearance. "Now I understand that our love was too strong to be contained by conventional boundaries. Lily and I didn't lose each other. We found a way to help other families discover the same unbreakable bond we share." As evening fell over the Everglades that anniversary night, visitors to the memorial site reported seeing two figures walking hand in hand along the water's edge, a young woman and a child who had grown up in dimensions beyond human understanding. But as more families reported similar phenomena at wetland locations worldwide, researchers realized the Turner River was just the beginning. Mysterious child disappearances followed by impossible biological discoveries were being documented in Louisiana bayous, Minnesota boundary waters, and Scottish highlands. Jessica and Lily's transformation had triggered something global. Somewhere else, another desperate mother was about to discover that the deepest maternal love can transcend any boundary, even death itself. The question wasn't whether more families would vanish into protective guardianship. The question was how many more sanctuaries of healing love were waiting to be born from tragedy.